The UCITS IV directive is going to have a big impact. How would you summarise the changes it'll bring?
Well, the UCITS IV directive came into force in July 2011 and it's already having a big impact on asset managers. So a couple of these are the obligations. One is there's a need to have more consistent risk management across the fund ranges in the different jurisdictions. The other is the KII, the Key Investor Information, which is causing quite a bit of frustration and consternation at asset managers. And we see the KII driving structural change within the industry. However, what might not have been explored quite as much as it should have been just yet are the opportunities that UCITS IV brings. And there we see opportunities for both top-line growth, but also bottom-line cost savings.
So what are the key facts about UCITS IV that fund managers and the wider investment community need to know?
At an overarching level, there is no one-size-fits-all. To a certain extent, asset managers are going to have bespoke answers to their particular circumstances. But I think there are three key things to be aware of. One is that there are potentially seven-figure benefits to be derived from management company passporting and from the implementation of master feeder. The second thing is that both clients and asset servicers are getting bigger. Our recent asset servicing survey, 83% of respondents said that they were expecting their client book to be more globally based. With that growth, there will be an opportunity for larger outsourcing contracts, and so that there's benefit for both asset managers and for asset servicers within that as a result of UCITS IV. And the third thing is that tax is complicated but not impossible. And we are actively working with clients across Europe, helping them to navigate the ensuing challenges.
Why is the Key Investor Information document, or KII, going to be so important?
Well, the big thing is it's not a like-for-like replacement with the simplified prospectus, and consequently there are impacts to the asset managers in how they produce it. One of the consequences we see of this is it's actually going to drive structural change in the industry because asset managers will need to use other suppliers to help them with the process. The KII brings a number of challenges. One is around how do the asset managers source the data that they need. Another is how do they deliver the KII to the investor at a point prior to purchase. Additionally, some of the life cycle management of the document is going to be new to the asset managers. And finally, the simplified prospectus used to be approved by the regulator. Here, it's the asset manager's management company that takes the responsibility for ensuring that the KII is correct.
So how should asset managers react to these changes?
Well, we're actually seeing asset managers deliver some tangible benefits. If we take top-line growth first, they can look at the effectiveness of their product ranges and they can look at the distribution. And so how would they achieve this? So one way of looking at it is actually increasing distribution by launching new feeder funds in new jurisdictions. And another is actually looking at creating new feeder funds in cross-border distribution centres to actually launch their products into new markets. And then the third interesting area is the creation of vehicles of a different taxation type based on one portfolio. So you could have a tax blocker fund for retail investors and a tax transparent fund for institutional investors.
And what about bottom line savings?
Well, there are two key things that we can see there. So one is the rationalisation of product ranges, and that can be done with the master feeder and the use of pooling, and that will deliver significant benefits. The other is looking at the operating structure and what opportunities can be used with the management company passporting. By putting all of your management company operations in one jurisdiction, there's the opportunity to revisit outsourcing contracts and consolidate them all into one. And essentially there's an opportunity to make scale savings there. Additionally, the management company passporting, we've seen people take opportunity there to save on regulatory capital, Others have moved jurisdictions to make a VAT saving. And then the third thing would be to look at rejigging the transfer pricing within your operational structure to make savings there as well.
How will service providers need to react?
That's a very interesting point, in that they've already reacted to an extent. A lot of them have invested in their infrastructure. Some of that is around the provision of KII. And so they're moving up the value chain in order to provide KII services to asset managers. This is interesting from an asset management perspective. There's then a bit more propensity to outsource, and indeed asset managers, in making use of the management company passporting provision, have the opportunity to issue larger outsourced contracts to the asset servicers. This then means that the asset servicers need to be thinking about scale, and one of the consequences of that is possibly more consolidation and merger and acquisition activity in the asset servicer world. And we're even seeing some of this in news stories in the recent days.
So to conclude, what innovations do you think might come out of all these changes?
I think there are three possible areas. The first one is that we're probably going to see a variety of different operating models. So the management company passport rules effectively mean that the fund domicile, the management company location and the administration centre now can be based in three different places, then don't have to be co-located. Consequently, we will see an array of permutations that suit the particular needs of different asset managers. There's no one right answer. Second thing is going to be an increase in cross-border distribution. And within that, we can see some flavours. So some US-based managers coming to Europe in order to access the market. We can see European managers getting access to other markets by setting up operations in Dublin or Luxembourg, particularly to access Asia. And then, interestingly, we're seeing Asian-based asset managers coming to Europe by setting up operations in Luxembourg. And then the third area is that UCITS IV shouldn't be viewed in isolation. There are overlaps with other regulations that are bringing about changes that people haven't thought of. And a useful example of that is that with AIFMD, the Alternative Investment Fund Managers Directive, has a requirement for a management company. And we're working with a client to set up a management company that fulfills UCITS ManCo requirements and AIFMD ManCo requirements. And that's something that people hadn't thought of previously.
Paul Stratford of Ernst and Young, thank you very much.
Thank you.